What's good, World Squad? Back at you guys with another video. On today's episode, I want to talk about negative feedback on Amazon. You received the negative feedback. Now what do you do? If this is your first time watching this channel, my name is Travis Cooper. I'm the creator of Amazon Made Easy, the program that gives you the blueprint to buying back more of your time so that you don't have to exchange it for money. Let's get straight into the episode. All right, so you're going to handle it a little bit differently depending on your fulfillment method, right? So let's start off with FBA, right? And there'll be some slight changes between the two, but whenever there's a change, I'll be sure to mention that at that step. So the first thing to do whenever you're dealing with a negative feedback is not to panic, right? I mean, we all have these unicorn dreams of having this perfect business, but man, I've started and ran a multitude of businesses over the years, and guess what? None of them went 100% right. In fact, most fail. Never come into a business opportunity thinking everything is going to go perfect, because it's not. So don't panic whenever you run into a specific issue or barrier in your business. Calm down, be prepared, be proactive, not reactive. So do everything you can from your end whenever something doesn't go your way or you get an unhappy customer for whatever reason. Deal with it, have your systems in place. So don't panic, because we know the road isn't always going to be smooth. Sometimes you're going to run into some occasional bumps along the way. We're going to continue to stay on track like great entrepreneurs do. We don't stop at any barriers. We keep going, and we always know there's a solution. And if we don't have it, we network until we get that solution. But stopping or giving up is not an option. The second thing I would advise is you understand the feedback, right? Don't get caught up in emotions. This is tied to step number one. Whenever your emotions are high, you're going to make a bad decisions, right? So we have to think logically and not let our emotions get in the way of making a bad decision. You're going to naturally be upset, but if it's going to affect, your decision making, you may want to step away for a couple hours, then come back to it. But let's understand it, right? I like to look at it from the other side whenever I'm having a conversation or a discussion. So we know that you may have sent this item out in perfect condition, everything was great, but it's some reason that customer was unhappy, assuming that they're telling the truth and they're honest, right? So let's put ourselves in their shoes. Let's break it down and think about why we received it and how we can resolve this issue with the customer. The next thing that I always do is go to the feedback removal tool. Some of the times, right, you can slip through the crack on Amazon because we know Amazon is so huge. Their bots are doing all of this work, right? So sometimes the bots don't pick up when it's actually your fault. So utilize the request removal tool inside of Amazon Seller Central. Go to the specific feedback, click on the removal feedback tool on the right, and see if you can get it automatically removed. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, transparent. I've had things that were my fault in the past, but I used this tool, and guess what? Amazon automatically struck through it and said that the seller should not be at fault for this particular order. So some of the times we can just get lucky, right? So always utilize that tool. Don't forget about it before you break down and you get all upset that your account has this negative feedback. Always check that tool, because sometimes you might be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and you might have some good luck. The next thing I like to do is apologize and respond to this feedback publicly on my page, right? So if it's ever an issue, I'm going to respond. I never place the blame on the customer. I apologize and take all the blame, and letting them know if they respond to my message, I do want to resolve this issue for them if they're willing and they're able to let me do that. So always respond from a professional standpoint. I've looked at many Amazon stores over the years where people say, hey, well, I gave you a refund, and just nasty with the customers. Some of the times these potential customers are coming in, they will look at that and, hey, if you respond in a negative way, I'm pretty sure it may divert them or discourage them from purchasing from your store. Now, buyers are real. They know that, no store is going to be 100% perfect, but if you respond in a professional way, in a professional tone, saying that, hey, there was an issue. It's my fault. I take complete responsibility for it, and we're going to fix it. Respond to it publicly, just being super professional, saying that, hey, we'll give you the product for free if you want to do that. But whatever it is, just resolve the issue in the way that the customer wants it to be resolved. Because some of the times we can say, hey, we resolved the issue, but make sure we're always adding the most value in serving. And when I say, resolve the issue the way the customer wants it to be resolved, I'm saying reasonably. If they want you to give away your house and your kids to resolve, of course we can't do that. Within a reasonable amount, do what you can to make sure that they feel like that they were always winning the value. They gave you $100, but they received $150 or $200 or $1,000 worth of value. That's going to keep you in business a long time. The next thing I would do is reach out and contact that customer privately. You can send them a message. I would reach out and apologize and say, hey, I apologize for this situation. It was an honest mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'll give them the template of what my VAs use. I would say about 40% of the time, they will respond and say, hey, we'll give you an opportunity to make this right. You make it right, guess what? They're going to remove the feedback. Merchant Fulfill, this step is crucial, right? FBA, it doesn't work for me as much, but Merchant Fulfill, whenever I do this, I reach out and touch base with them. I give them a sincere message. They usually, I would say about 35 to 40% of the time, they'll give you an opportunity to make it right. They'll then remove it, and it's completely removed from your Amazon store feedback section of your page. The next thing to do, morally to do, is just solve the problem, right? So if they had an issue, solve the problem. Because some of the times, even if they don't reach out to you, you solve the problem, they will then in turn reach out to you after you solve the problem. So do the right thing, solve the problem for the customer, because I truly believe in planting those good seeds that even if it doesn't come directly back from that customer, guess what? You're going to get some money from over here, a different source, or money may show up to your mailbox, or whatever the case may be. Plant those good seeds, continue to do good things, and you will definitely reap your rewards, whether again from that customer or another customer down the line. The next thing you can do is follow up and ask for a revision whenever you solve that problem. Now, we don't want to be a pest and keep hitting them left and right. If they didn't respond to the first message after you solve the problem, whether it's a refund or whatever, be sure to just reach out and say, hey, I handled that for you. I gave you a free whatever it is. I issued you a refund. Would you consider revising your feedback or removing your feedback? I've done it and been successful before over my 13 years on Amazon. So I would say always reach out. If they reach back out to you or they respond to you saying, hey, leave me alone, just leave them alone, let it be water under the bridge, but definitely shoot your shot. And ask them just to see if they will be willing to consider removing that feedback now that you solved the problem. Again, it was a total mistake. We do sincerely apologize. Most of our orders go well for whatever reason. We had a hiccup or issue with this specific order, but we made it right. Again, would you consider or revise that feedback for us? One thing I will add to the end of this specific tip is not to incentivize, right? That is against Amazon terms. You can't incentivize them to remove a feedback by saying, hey, if you remove this feedback, I will issue you a refund. You can't do that. That's against Amazon's TOS or terms of service. So you can't say, hey, I'm gonna give you a free items or anything in exchange for them doing it. But the way to go around it is just to go and fix it and then ask them on the back end, right? That's the best thing to do. That way you can get around their terms of service and it's not like a bribe. What you're doing is you rectifying the situation where they consider removing it or revising their feedback that they left you before you resolve the problem. And last but not least, be sure to learn from the experience, right? Because whenever something bad happens, it's not always a loss or an L, it's a learning experience. So once everything happens, whether they decide to leave the feedback or not, reevaluate what happened in this specific situation. How can we prevent that moving forward? I said it earlier in the video. How can we be proactive, which means we're going to be on top of it before it happens? What line of events caused us to get in this situation? Was it something we can control? And if so, let's go ahead and put those systems or those SOPs or standard operating procedures into place so that we can prevent this from happening again and again in the future. Let's go ahead and knock it out now. So don't just go through it, you grow through it. I'm gonna say that again. Don't just go through it, you grow through it and you grow to the next level. Efficient systems are the keys to success. Every day, right? You should be working on your system, making it a little sleeker, making it a little stronger, making it a little leaner. You want to have a well-oiled machine. That's going to allow you to buy back more of your time so that you don't have to exchange it for money, and it'll make the ability to scale your business so much easier. Hopefully you guys received a ton of value from this video. Love you. See you on the next one.